All right, today we're going to get into something, well, it's a pretty wild theory about our future. It's called the neo-feudal network theory. And the whole idea is that where we're headed actually looks a lot like our distant past, way more than you'd think. So this is the quote that kicks the whole thing off, from the guy who came up with it, Albert Tan. We're returning to the Middle Ages, but with Wi-Fi. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds nuts, right? The Middle Ages? Seriously? But just hang in there, because once you start to unpack this, it's actually a really powerful way to see what's happening in the world right now. Right? What does that even mean? That's the billion-dollar question. It feels totally backward. I mean, progress is supposed to be a straight line forward, isn't it? So how on earth could our super-connected, Wi-Fi everywhere world have anything in common with, castles and kings? Okay, let's break it down. So to really get a grip on this whole neo-feudal thing, we got to start with right now. Because the theory's main argument is that the foundation of our world, well, it's starting to show some serious cracks. Okay, so think about it. For centuries, the nation state, countries like the US or Germany or Japan, they've been the main characters on the world stage, the heavy hitters. But the core idea here, the absolute starting point of this theory, is that their time in the spotlight is ending. Their power is shrinking, and they just aren't the only game in town anymore. And that, right there, is the key question. If countries are losing their grip, that power doesn't just vanish into thin air. It has to go somewhere. So who's picking it up? Who are the new players taking their place? And this is where we get back to that whole neo-feudal idea. Back in the Middle Ages, power wasn't all in one place. It was spread out between kings and local lords and these powerful groups called guilds. Well, the theory says we're seeing the exact same thing happen today. Power is scattering, just to totally new kinds of groups. So who are these new lords and guilds? Well, the theory breaks them down into two main categories. First, you've got what it calls corporate city-states. And that's exactly what it sounds like. Giant tech companies that are so big, so powerful, they're basically like small countries. And then you've got something a little different, something newer. Digital guilds. Okay, so what in the world is a digital guild? This is where it gets really interesting. We're not talking about a regular company here. Instead, think about things like huge crypto networks or DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. These things are global. They have no borders. They're born on the internet and they have their own economies, their own rules, and they operate completely outside the control of any single country. All right, so power is moving away from countries and towards these giant companies and new digital networks. That's a massive shift on its own. But the theory says it goes way deeper than that. It actually starts to change the very idea of what it means to belong somewhere, who we are. And this leads to this really radical concept, subscription citizenship. I mean, think about it. For pretty much all of us, citizenship is just where you happen to be born. It's an accident. You're born there, you get a passport. Boom. But this theory imagines a future where belonging is a choice. It's a service you actively subscribe to, kind of like you would for anything else, based on what you get out of it. The best way to think about it is this. What if your passport was less like your birth certificate and more like your Netflix account? Seriously, you'd shop around. You'd look at the pros and cons. What are the taxes like? What benefits do I get? What are the rules? And you just pick the best deal. You could even have a few subscriptions at the same time. It just completely flips the script on what a country is to us. And this is where it all comes together in this final kind of mind-blowing way. Okay, so if citizenship is just a subscription and power is scattered all over the place, what does that do to us, to our identity? Like, who do you even answer to? This is the real conflict at the heart of this future. Imagine, your physical body lives in, say, America. You follow the local laws, you pay your local taxes. But your economic self, your job, your money, your whole professional community lives entirely on a decentralized network that doesn't care about borders. So where does your loyalty lie? It's split right down the middle. And that's how we get back to the beginning. That's what the Middle Ages with Wi-Fi actually means. It's not about going back to horse-drawn carts and castles. Not at all. It's about a world where power isn't held by one central government, but is scattered across all these different groups. A world where your identity isn't just one thing, but a bunch of overlapping layers, all connected by the internet. So the theory really leaves us with this one huge question to chew on. If you live in one place, but you work and socialize in a totally different digital space, who are you? I mean, who are you really? It's a tough one to answer, but it might just be the question that defines our entire century.